Okay. Welcome to the very first episode of Epic Love Legacy. This podcast exists because love is not something you fall into, it's something you heal into.
Sorry. I get it. I thought you just meant like as notes.
You want to try again?
Yeah, I do. I got it
Three,
now.
2, 1. Welcome to the very first episode of Epic Love Legacy. This podcast exists because love is not something you fall into, it's something you heal into.
We are here for the people who are conscious, self-aware, growth-oriented, and still finding themselves asking, why do I keep repeating the same patterns in love?
Why does connection feel so intense and then so unsafe? Why do I know better but still feel pulled into the same dynamics that hurt?
So today we are starting at the root, not to blame, not to shame, but to bring understanding to the mother wound.
And what is the mother wound? When people hear the phrase mother wound, they sometimes get uncomfortable. This is not about villainizing mothers. Most mothers were doing the best they could with the nervous system, trauma, and conditioning that they had.
So I don't like reading the script.
Fuck it then. We
Yeah, because
don't
we
like this.
we are not doing well. It sounds like we're looking at a paper, and this is going to be on YouTube.
Right. So we
Let's
want to not do it?
Yeah, I just want to talk. I thought you meant like the script as just like notes, like
Got it.
which by points. But yeah, I didn't like that.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
Action.
Welcome, everyone, to the Epic Love Legacy podcast. I am Jake Worthington, and with me, as always, is my beautiful, wonderful prize of a wife, Carissa.
And this is actually our first episode that we're recording as a married couple,
That's a fact.
right? We haven't done one since
No.
June. Yeah, we haven't done one. So now we are Carissa and Jake Worthington.
I'm so happy you took my name.
Me too. I was very excited to take your last name and drop my father's.
Yes.
But today is not about dads. Today is about the mother wound.
The mother wound. The mother wound. The mother
That's
wound.
a big one.
Yes, it is. And what is the mother wound?
So the mother wound is a core wound that children develop during childhood, usually within the first 7 to 8 years of their life, when the subconscious mind is forming. And the importance of the subconscious mind is that is where all of our habits, our beliefs, um, belief systems about ourselves, each other, and the world around us are held. So, for instance, when a baby is born and maybe, a mother believes in the cry out method, what that's going to teach a baby is that nobody is coming, right? Nobody's coming to comfort it, nobody's coming to save it, nobody's coming to offer love, support, and touch. And so even as babies, we can develop a unsafe nervous system about the world around us. You could have a mother that is doing her absolute best, but shows inconsistent love, or maybe she's under a lot of stress, with work or in her home life, or has her own set of trauma and shows up inconsistent for a child. I know that can be even hard for women that have periods, right? It's like if we don't have a dad at home with us to kind of take over that week and a half that we're just not ourselves, then a child could develop a mother wound. And like most traumas, there's a wide range, a very wide range. You could have like a little bit of trauma, a small mother wound, maybe something like therapy between you and your mom could work out, or maybe just even deep conversations with an emotionally mature mom and an emotionally mature child, or adult child. And then there is like narcissistic moms who just inflict so much pain, um, because they really don't give a shit about healing. Like they just don't, you know?
Mm.
So it's I believe it's one of the hardest and most transformative wounds to heal. And I believe all souls that incarnate into a human body here on earth that choose to have a narcissistic mother or develop a mother wound, they are miraculous, brave souls that are the cycle breakers that come here to end really dysfunctional lineages or bloodlines per se. So if you are listening, you have a mother wound, I see you, I feel you, I understand the pain that you carry that is and was never yours to carry. With that said, I also believe that you are a super brave human being and you are here to transmute that pain into purpose. I believe the purpose is to love and be loved. So first to kind of actually not even first, but to conquer self-love and then to be able to love another in a very deeply fulfilling relationship with another human.
Well done. That's a great answer. So one of the things that you said that I want to tune into a little bit more is um, basically just because it is a wound, right? There's varying degrees of the wound, right? There could be mother wounds that are, kind of like paper cuts, and there can be mother wounds that are like you had your heart ripped out and thrown on a plate, and everything in between. But it's the emotional imprint, right? The emotional imprint that sets into that child, into that subconscious mind. You said that that fully forms before we're 7, right? And so during that early childhood, when the child's need for safety, attunement, you said consistency, and the emotional reliability just wasn't met,
Yeah.
right? And I think you nailed it. And I think it's important because denial exists in this arena, exists in with the mother wound. So I do encourage both male and females that are listening to really research the mother wound and how it might show up for yourself, and how it might show up in other people, so that way you can understand. Am I getting with a partner that has a mother wound and doesn't know it? Am
Yeah.
I am I a person with a mother wound and don't know it? As Carissa, you and I know that denial runs really big in my and some of my reactions. It's something that I'm working on. But yeah, the mother wound. Let's get into
Well,
it a little further.
and
Go
and
ahead.
to kinda just before we move on, give our listeners kind of a, example. I always like to use examples from my own life to remind people that healing really is possible. So, for instance, I, have a mother wound that I carry with between me and my own mom. And unfortunately, my mom really isn't able to, provide the healing that I would like, at least not in this lifetime. And that has been a big core wound that shaped my identity. It shaped my personality. It played into mental illness, addiction, the sexual partners that I chose throughout the course of my life, starting at a really young age, way too young, 14, to be sexually active. Um, but then there's also like my daughter too, like unfortunately has a mother wound that inadvertently inflicted because I had her so young. I got pregnant with her when I was 16 years old, and then I struggled with mental illness. I was in college, I was working. I didn't have a ton of support financially from her dad, or even him fulfilling her parenting time. And so my daughter went on to an inconsistent love, just with my moods and personal struggles that I had. But the difference between my daughter and I, and like my mother and I, is that I'm showing up for her today. I'm here for her today, and I'm willing to look at the trauma that she has that came from me. And that I think is the make it or break it for a mother wound. I do believe you can heal a mother wound without involving a mother. Like for me, I've been able to heal the mother wound without my mom. But it's even better, obviously, if like you do have a mom that kind of comes to her senses or can, really get herself into therapy or practice emotional maturity and at least admit that she doesn't know what she doesn't know and then become willing to learn. Like we're kids, right? We are all our parents' children. So it is a natural response to want to please our parents. I'm 40, I'm gonna be 40 in 3 days. I still want to please my mom and my dad, like that exists within me. I am in complete acceptance for who my mom is. But I would love it, obviously, if she's like, hey, I want to go to therapy and be closer to you. That'd be so cool. So I think that exists for most kids. I think most kids want that. So it really it depends on your mother's willingness to confront her own demons and how her demons interfered with her parenting. Whether it is being too rigid, too strict, psychologically abusive, mental mind games, wanting to create like a little mini me of her. There's just a lot of factors that play into the mother wound.
Yeah, and I want to just retouch on, talking about the mother wound is a lot different than talking about blaming your mother. I had a lot of issues in my relationship with my mother, but learning about the mother wound, I think that we would both agree that my mother wound would be smaller than yours. And
Yeah.
we're not trying to compare traumas or anything like that, but I think my mother's stuff ended up being more like everyone blame mom rather than actually I received a mother wound, because like we said, I did get read to, and I did have a mom who was absolutely trying to meet my emotional needs throughout my childhood. Um, whereas I again, not trying to shame anybody, but yours still doesn't ever tell you I love you.
No, no.
She
It's
she
ditto.
says ditto.
Ditto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so we want to bring this up because as our listeners, I'm sure know, Carissa and I work with people, and especially people who want to find that real, lasting love, that epic love legacy.
Epic, unapologetic, notebook worthy love.
Yeah.
You.
Um,
That's what I want for all of our listeners. I feel like that's what Jake and I have. We don't have like the cookie cutter relationship. We have that passionate as fuck relationship, that some of our fights get a little spicy. But what's cool is so does our bedroom. And like, who doesn't
exactly.
want that?
Exactly.
Like, why don't you, real quick, before we move on, can you just stand up a little bit and show everyone? Yes. So his shirt says Big Nick Energy. Reference to the BDE.
Damn right. Um, well, thinking about our great life, I got to get back on track. But the the mother being the primary caregiver, right? The first caregiver. I mean, literally, we came from our mothers, right?
Yeah.
And I just want to biologically talk about this. The cell split, and you are literally a portion of your mom. And for the listeners that don't know, I am adopted, and so the mom that I speak of, the mom that I call mom, is the mom that adopted me. She's wonderful, and I've always known I'm adopted, and it's never been a weird thing. I've always known because yes, I was a mistake at the conception, but then I was chosen. You know what I mean? I was
I
chosen.
mean, you were unplanned. Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, but you weren't a mistake.
Thank you. But the mother, the primary caregiver, they are our first mirror. And so if you have a mother wound and you're seeking a long term committed relationship, or maybe you're just getting out of a long term committed relationship and you're freaking done with love for a while and you're just going to work on self, freaking poetry snaps to you. Carissa and I did that. That is how we
Clock
found each
it. This
other.
is what the kids do.
Clock it.
Clock it.
Um, but it shapes the mother shapes how we feel being seen,
Yeah.
how worthy we feel of love, how we express our needs, and how safe we feel to express our needs, and how we attach in adult relationships, which is very important. So, how you feel being seen, do you think that that's going to affect a loving relationship? How worthy you feel of love, do you think that's going to affect how you date and what kind of texts you send and receive? How we express our needs, how we attach in adult relationships. And I know that that's something that we've got into, and that's a podcast for a different podcast. But
Yeah.
we're going to get into attachment styles for sure. But basically, one of the most common ways that the mother wound does show up is anxious attachment.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say anxiety, anger, and addictive relationships.
Fear of abandonment.
Huge fear of abandonment. Huge. Whether it's real abandonment or perceived abandonment.
So one of the things that we have decided, um, amidst everything that has happened in our lives, and just real quick, I want the world to know that Carissa and I have literally been prosecuted, and have been taken to court for our podcast, for our social media. And
I was like,
we
where are
are
you going
now,
with it? I thought you were gonna go to our past lives when I
nope,
was a witch and you were a warrior.
we can go there,
Yeah,
but
like twice.
we have
Uh,
literally we have literally been in a long legal battle, and CPS has been involved and so on. And basically we're now to the point of like, okay, we're okay being authentically authentic.
yeah,
And
everyone can fuck off. As
so
the Taylor Swift song. What is that part? I love that part. We
it'll
tell the
come to you.
whole yeah. Plus I don't want to sing it.
But yeah, the reason I bring this up is because we are going to be a little bit more authentic and share some of our real stories, okay? And Carissa and I have had a lot of relationships before we found each other, and we both know about them. There's nothing you're going to be able to tell either one of us about our partner that we don't already know. We have absolutely healed every bit of it. I love every version of Carissa that has existed. If any of you had to deal with those, I do apologize. I should have been there. It should have been me. But anyways, I bring this up because the fear of abandonment, has that ever caused you to stay in a relationship that you shouldn't have been in?
100%.
Has it ever
I
caused
did
you
some
to pursue a relationship that you should have never pursued?
so probably my immediate answer is like, well, sure. I can't necessarily like recall, oh, I'm gonna date this guy even though I shouldn't, so that I'm not abandoned, right? Like it wasn't that clear in my mind.
At the
However,
time.
100%.
But now looking back, like, hindsight, you
Yeah,
can see.
looking back, it's like that's exactly what I was doing.
Mhm.
Exactly. There was a gentleman that I really did deeply love, and he was a good man, almost married him, but I wasn't as sexually attracted to him as one should be if they are considering marriage. And I was considering marriage, and granted, I was like intellectually and emotionally attracted to him, so that did exist. But a lot of it was I just didn't want to go through the breakup process. I didn't want to walk through that. And so I stayed with him a lot longer than I should have, knowing that if we got married, we were probably just going to get divorced. Whether it was year 10, 5 or 10, or it was like I saw it, but yet I still continued dating him week after week, month after month, year after year for about 3.5 years, where it should have just been a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Should have been a no-brainer. And yeah, I've done, as all my stories. I've done some crazy ass fucking shit in my addiction to alcohol, and really even my addiction to men, to not be abandoned. I have sabotaged relationships. I've lied and manipulated to keep men from abandoning me. I have done the craziest shit.
Yeah, but it's really interesting because you just talked about addiction, you talked about alcoholism, right? But it's really interesting. What came first, chicken or the egg? What came first,
Men
mother
for
wound?
sure. Men for sure. I thought
Yeah,
it was alcohol when I
yeah.
entered AA at 22. I
Hmm.
was like, and I wasn't even an alcoholic at 22. I just drank kind of funky and I did not want to be an alcoholic like my mom. So I just entered kind of early. What do they call that? Pre
Yeah.
some. Anyways, um but it wasn't even until like my 30s that I was like, wait a second, I've relapsed a few times and I'm relapsing every single time because of a breakup. Because of that huge fear of abandonment that literally came for me from like an infant, right? I had my first experiences with abandonment as an infant in the crib when I was just left to cry it out when my dad was in med school and my mom was doing who knows what. So now looking back on it, it was for sure men. I and Jake knows this too, but like for me personally, when I was about 12 years old, I discovered that my body looked like girls that we saw on magazines and billboards and television. And so from a very young age, I was like, wait a second, I have an hourglass? Like, oh, I have a body? Oh, I have a butt? Like, and I learned at 12 how to use my body and get what I want, which at the time was just attention. But by 14, having sex, pregnant on a one night stand at 16. So
Yeah, but you've told me a lot though that also was attention. So it was attention. It wasn't necessarily that you like enjoyed having sex. It wasn't
no,
like it was.
it wasn't even no, that's the most fucked up part is that it wasn't even about pleasure. If
Yeah.
I was like a young woman that was like, I'm exploring my body and I'm exploring what my body can do and right around the age of 16, 17, 18 is like when we start experiencing the feeling of being horny and what it feels like to actually want to be close to the opposite sex and what pleasure is and what orgasms are, and none of that was like non-existent in my sex life before you. I mean, really before you. Um, but even at like when I was sexually active, it wasn't about pleasure. It was always about like pleasuring the man so that he would love me, so that he would want to be with me and stay connected to me. And that was the role I played. I didn't really play like the good girl role. If anything, I tried to be like the chill girl who like fit in with the guys and like loved fucking when really I didn't. I was just pretending that I did so that I could have that perceived closeness and intimacy. It was really sad.
Yeah, and again, I want to touch base real quick that also one of the things that we've decided is that we are going to talk to the people that are very misunderstood, which is people with a high body count.
Yeah.
And you're totally in the right place. If you have
Yep.
slept around, you are in the right place. I have had my fair share of partners and I've had my fair share of serious relationships. And Carissa has also. And we decided kind of separately but together to spend a year apart, or not apart, but we spent a year single and we're like, look,
Yeah. Before we met.
I keep bringing the same Jake into these fucking relationships and they keep ending up the same way. So why don't I change Jake before trying another relationship? And I had actually sworn off. I was like, I'm done. I'm done with this. Women aren't safe around me. Like it's done. And when we met, actually, we were only 6 months into that, and you and I were like, not even didn't even consider each other. And later on, we started getting an eye for each other. But it
Hmm.
was your mind, it was your story, it was your history. Where I was like, holy shit, you're the female version of me. And and I truly believe if I was female, I would have lived life so similar to how you did.
I know, and I would have too. I would have wanted to go to war. I would have wanted to kill. Even as a woman, I want to fight. Like I like fighting.
Yeah,
I have a black belt in martial arts. I'm good at it, you know? So I can relate to
yeah,
everything that you've done in your life. I'm like, hell yeah, I would have done that too.
exactly. But and so so if you're here and you're listening, you will start to hear some crazy shit. We have done it. We will not judge.
And we are
Um,
not ashamed.
we're not ashamed, and that is why we're creating these communities. Is because it is important to give voice to the people that are frequently misunderstood, the misfits, the people that are too loud, too much for other people. But basically, Carissa and I have really big emotions, and we'll get into that another time. But we have really big emotions, and they do show up in our life, and we just kind of call them as such. Like, okay, this is a really big emotional event, and we put some parameters on it, and we're watching it actually heal. It's
Yeah.
wild, and we're healing it together in real time.
Yeah.
Okay, so number two on a mother wound, overgiving and self-abandonment. You actually mentioned it a little bit a second ago, where you're like, it's okay, I need to please them, otherwise they're going to leave me,
Yep.
right? And guys do this too, right? Guys overgive, and they completely abandon self and completely lose themselves in a relationship. And the woman runs the show, and pretty soon nobody's having sex because nobody's attracted, because the woman doesn't actually want to run the show. And so there's a whole bunch of, but then the guy's abandoning himself and resenting her because she's not actually grateful for him for
That
him
he is running the
abandoning
show,
himself.
but she doesn't want him to run the show. Yeah.
Exactly. And so you can accidentally become the emotional caretaker. You can become the fixer. You can be the one that's holding everything together, you know. And you're minimizing your own needs and thinking that you're doing the relationship a service, but you're actually not, because love is not something that you need to earn,
Yeah.
and love is something that should be given and received without condition. And that is
Without
really
condition,
hard.
and that it is. It's even hard as, like, as a parent to, when I'm going through, like, for my period, right? When I'm, like, PMSing, and I'm just like, "Oh my god, everybody shut up. Like, why are Jake and Avery even happy right now? Like, this is ridiculous." Like, why are they happy? They should be miserable too. And so it's like I have to be really mindful not to pull my love away when I want distance. And like what that looks like is, hey, I'm not in a good mood today. I'm PMSing. I love you so much. You're so special, but I'm gonna be in my room. Leave me alone. Right. So that can still be like a hard boundary that's also very loving. And I'm still working on doing that because I still kind of just get like hormonal and stuff. And so I have to remember that my family is not mind readers. And as long as I tell them what I'm going through, then they're like, oh, cool. We'll see you in a week. She'll be back.
Yes, except um, sometimes the mother wound that's in me, the mother wound that's in my daughter, especially,
Sure.
comes out. And
Yeah.
so as you're like, hey guys, not feeling 100%, right? Then this overgiving and self-abandonment comes in, where it's like, okay, well, I need to do more now during this week and a half. I need to do more to make you feel better. And you're like, no, bitch, I want I want space. I want space. And I'm like, yeah, but like I would want someone to bring me chocolates. I've heard that when a woman's on her period, you're just supposed to fan her and just
No,
bring her
no,
chocolate.
no, no,
And it's
no.
like,
To be clear, you can still bring me chocolate and food and candy. That's fine.
but then leave.
But then leave. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, don't hang out. No, don't hang around. No, you just have you seen those TikToks where it's like the woman is under the covers and then like the man, the boyfriend, the husband is just like throwing in like chocolates under it, Cheetos, which I don't eat any of that junk food, but like he's throwing in like junk food and stuff. She just grabs and then it's like, okay, bye.
Yeah, that's
That's what it
funny.
feels like.
Yeah. Number three is difficulty receiving love
Mhm.
and consistency, which surprises a lot of people, because you want love, but when it's consistent, calm, or available, you don't know
It
what to do.
No, it feels so weird. It feels so weird.
When
The
it
only
doesn't come with
person
strings,
does
when
what?
it when it doesn't come with a whole bunch of strings and a whole bunch of expectations and a whole bunch of obligations.
Yeah, it feels like that in, well, at least it did in my mind. Like it felt like that in my mind. The only person I've ever received safe and consistent love from was my daughter. Also probably my grandfather. However, I never really lived with my grandfather and we weren't in an intimate relationship. We were in a granddaughter grandfather relationship. So with my daughter, she's my daughter. That was easy. I got used to it. But when I moved in with you and Avery, and you guys were so loving and so kind and so sweet, and you're both huggers, and like with you, you love touch and massage. That it was truly overwhelming to my nervous system because I was like, what's wrong with them? Like, why do they want so much love? And it wasn't that you wanted or were giving so much love. It was that I just wasn't used to it. And so, like anything, even if it's good, if you're not used to it, it feels unfamiliar.
Yeah.
And so it was just it's trip.
Yeah. And just a little caveat on that also. Yeah, you walked in, right? There was a big void, a big hole. I had spent a year by myself, but my daughter actually had been abandoned by her stepmother
Yeah.
and her parents. And so that whole side, there was a big hole. There's a big hole, and it was just waiting to be filled. And unfortunately, she's got a mother wound from her biological, and so it there was a big hole. So you walk in, and you got two people who have a lot of love to give, a
Yeah.
lot of love to give, who were like, "Yay, someone we get to love on." And you're like, "Holy shit, can I get a moment to myself, please? Thank
I
you."
felt like Bagel. I felt like Bagel. We should tell him the bagel
The
story.
you want okay, the bagel story. Real quick, during, uh, the beginning of that year, went to rehab, came out, got, sober and everything, and my daughter and I previously had not had a cat because my ex was like, "No, I'm a dog person," which we're love dogs, love all animals, but, got a cat, and I got 2 feral cats, and I brought them home, and they just disappeared in the house. And so finally one day, they're kittens. They were feral kittens, little tiny things. And finally one day I was like, "I'm gonna show this cat that I am a safe man and that I'm gonna love it." And I think I was in my underwear, and there was no furniture in the house. Remember when you moved in, there was no
Yeah,
furniture.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so I took off after this kitten, and luckily no furniture, couldn't hide very many places. And I cornered it in the laundry room, and then I like dove at it, right? I'm 6'2", I'm 225
Big
pounds,
guy. Big yeah, big
right?
energy.
I dove at it. This thing ran up the wall, tried to go off my side. I actually got claw marks, and I grabbed it. And then, like Lenny from Of Mice and Men, I like grabbed it and I'm holding it, and I'm like, "You will learn that I'm safe. Don't worry, kitty." And as I'm sitting there, I can feel its claws digging into me and blood starts coming out. And I'm like, maybe this isn't the right way. And so finally, I was like, I let it go and it disappeared. And I didn't see it again for like 4 days. And finally, I was pondering, I was meditating about that for a while. And I was like, maybe I don't know how to safely love something. And so just smother it. And
Yeah, just smother it, chase it around the house, force it into your arms.
yes, force it, don't you know?
Yeah,
And I'm sure
yeah.
that, yeah, I'm sure if my ex ever heard that or whatever, she'd laugh. She'd be like, "You're fucking right, he doesn't know." Um, because I didn't know. I didn't know. And so when I calmed my presence down, when I calm my tone, calm my energy down, change my vibration, right? Changed all the things that we talk about and teach, and actually realize like, "Oh, I need to show that I'm safe." And I not tell that I'm safe. That doesn't
Show
mean
it.
shit. I need to
Yeah.
show that I'm safe. And
And
I look
sometimes that means patience and letting someone come to you.
letting them come to you,
Yeah.
also known as attraction.
Mhm. Mhm.
What is it when you're not letting them come to you? You're chasing.
Mhm. Well,
Hey, women, women.
and that even happened with us because we met in AA. We knew each other in AA. We played on the same softball team, went to a couple of the same meetings, and weren't really friends, but we were acquaintances. And I remember like someone, Candace, asking me like, "Oh, like what about Jake?" And I was like, "No." And I think someone said the same thing to you, and you're like, no." And so it truly was like you just kind of kept showing up in my life, like just themes. And then you came to my condo and picked up your baseball mitt. And so I just kind of like came to you,
Yeah, but you
you
did that
know?
baseball mitt on purpose. I know you did. That was your
I didn't. I really didn't.
Mhm,
I so didn't.
mhm,
I so it
mhm.
was no, because it was divine. It was God. It was truly God. Like we didn't even see each other until we saw each other.
Yeah. But yeah, learning to soften, learning to put food out for the kitten, learning to just sit and observe from a safe distance. And as it came toward me, not to reach out. And as it came even closer, not to reach out. And as it sniffed me, not to reach out. And as it came even closer, not to reach out. And as it climbed on my leg, not to reach out. And just letting it do its thing and recognize eventually, wow, this thing is safe. It's not going to harm me. And now you know that I've trained that cat. That cat will come when I call
This
it. And
cat is fucking trained. It is amazing. Jake just goes, and then she just like comes running and just goes right into his arms like for scratches. He can get it out of the room. He can get it from under the bed. I've never seen a cat that was trained, and Bagel totally is.
yep.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So the issue with consistency and calmness and availability, right? Like it doesn't feel safe for somebody who that hasn't been modeled for, right? When you have to perform to receive any kind of love or whatever, when you have to perform in order for your house not to be this constant fighting and this constant source
You got to play the good girl role.
yeah, you got to play the good girl. Well, then what ends up happening is you actually end up like safety feels boring. And I know that you and I have both had this issue in our past where we dated somebody who actually had all the right, all the good things, and we fucked it up
Yeah,
because it was like,
it
this
was
is like
weird.
vanilla. This is
Yeah,
boring. Like, what's the matter
vanilla,
with you?
perfect word, vanilla. Yeah,
Right? And
yeah.
you're like, something's the matter with you because we mistake. What do you say? You say it all the time. We mistake intensity for intimacy.
Oh, yeah, intensity for intimacy. Yeah, so if a relationship is like really, really intense, or you're the partner or the date that you're pursuing or the situationship that you're pursuing, if it's very intense, we mistake that as passionate. Like, oh, there's just so much passion. No, you guys are trauma bonded, you know?
Yeah. Now,
Now,
passion is called chaos.
it's called chaos. Passion is when I believe there could definitely be some chaos, especially if you're rewiring from a very traumatic childhood.
Hmm.
But it's really having awareness. If you and your partner are aware that you guys are a little bit crazy and you're doing all the necessary steps to not be crazy, and you're unlearning these fucked up programs that were, literally wired into the mind before 7, 8 years old, you're good. Like, you're golden. Like, to be honest, then a real vanilla relationship would probably be very boring, So you don't want to go like too far to the extreme. Like, if you're a little crazy, you want to find someone who's a little bit, just a little bit too. And then you guys work on becoming the best together. That
Yep.
right there is a power couple.
Yes, we do not want to fall in love. We want to rise
Rise
in
in
love.
love.
Okay, a couple more. Number four, attraction to emotionally unavailable partners.
Hmm. Because it feels familiar.
Yep.
It feels familiar because when you have that man that is showing up for you, and let's take it all the way from like the first date. When you go on a first date and he pays for your meal and then he calls you right away or sends you a text right away, and you're just like, oh my God, like, you're not waiting like the 3 days. Like, no, bitch, that was fucking high school. That's not a thing. If you have the urge to reach out, you reach out. You're an adult. And then if he like, can keep showing up and keeps being consistent, you almost look at that as like, oh, he's needy. Oh, he's really clingy. Oh, and that's because it just feels so unfamiliar. So when you go on a date with the guy who is inconsistent, like your mother was, or who wants to hold a girlfriend to like certain standards in order to show her love, for her to even perform as the good girl within the bounds of within the relationship itself, well, that feels normal. You're like, oh, okay, like, this is normal. You don't even recognize it as unhealthy. You don't even recognize it as something that you don't want, at least not until way later, because it is familiar to your subconscious mind. It is familiar to your nervous system. And so if you were to take like a very, very healthy woman who has a sense of autonomy, who has a sense of identity, who feels good about herself, and you put her in a relationship, or you send her on some dates with an emotionally unavailable man, she'd spot it in a second. In a second, she'd be like, this guy's gonna play games with me. He's going to call one day and want to see me, and then he's not going to call one day and not want to see me. And then I'm going to, show up at his place one day and it'll be fine. And then I'll show up the next day and it's not fine. And it's just like, it's going to be totally mixed messages and you'll recognize it as unhealthy. Whereas someone who lived through that with a mom is going to recognize that as normal when it's not normal. It's unhealthy. You're just so used to unhealthy that that's all that you can see.
Yep. Which is how people fall into that anxious avoidant trap.
Yes.
And number 5 is boundary struggles.
Boundary.
Boundary struggles. Either
People
you let
get
too much
so
in.
mad
What?
about boundary. People get so mad at my boundaries. I love it.
Yeah. Either you let too much in or you shut everything down, right?
Yeah, I can
Um,
relate.
yeah. And people with a mother wound often struggle with that. But boundaries, right? We call them parameters also. Call them parameters. Um, in sports, nobody has an issue with boundaries, right?
Right? Yep.
Nobody has an issue with boundaries in
On
sports.
the road when we're driving.
I mean, some people do. But yeah.
I mean, I kind of do. I do.
But what I'm
Love
saying
these
is,
people.
like, everybody who watches football knows there's a line of scrimmage. That's a fucking boundary. They know where the out of bounds is. That's a boundary. They know where the touchdown is. It's a boundary. The first down line. All sorts of boundaries all over a football field, right? What about in relationships?
Yeah.
How are you with boundaries in a relationship?
Yeah.
Do you feel confident enough to uphold and enforce your own boundaries within your own relationship?
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard, especially if boundaries got you in trouble. If you got in trouble by your own mother, the number one woman that was supposed to love, respect, and and you trust, if she did not allow you to have boundaries, why the fuck are you gonna grow up to think you're allowed to have boundaries with friends, with men, in your relationships, with your own kids when you have them? A mom who doesn't respect boundaries is someone who like just walks in your room once you're like becoming of age and it's like okay because she deserves to because she's your mom.
Yeah.
Like just it's those little things where it's a sense of entitlement on the mother's part because she feels shitty about herself.
The and the interesting thing with mm, that thought is gone. It was there, but it's gone. You said something about moms. But hmm, maybe if
Must
I
have been
talk
a
for
walk.
maybe if I talk for a second, it'll come out. But bound oh, guilt. Boundaries and guilt.
Mm,
Boundaries and guilt. Setting and holding a boundary should not make you feel guilty. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Parents, so many of us want so many parents, not us because we don't do this, but so many parents, they rule with an iron fist. Do not question me in my own home. Okay, when
what?
should they practice questioning authority?
Yeah.
Because you don't let them do it at school, right? You don't let them
Mhm.
do it at home, right? So when do they practice questioning authority? When do they because shouldn't we question authority?
Yeah.
And if you don't think we should question authority, turn this podcast off and never fucking listen to it again.
Correct. We're not for you.
Because
If
questioning authority is an absolute must. Go ahead, sorry.
100%. That is the reason why humanity has evolved. If we didn't question it, we'd still have fucking slavery. Literally, there would still be slavery. Women would not have the right to vote.
We
There
would
wouldn't be no gay marriage,
there'd
you
be no
know?
airplanes.
Correct. It's like there'd be no airplanes because science did say that flight is left for the birds.
It's
And so it's
impossible.
like you have these moms who are just so fucking entitled. And it's generally because they're not doing anything with their own life. And so it's like you want to raise, especially women, you want to raise your little girl to question authority. There is a way in which she can do it politely and respectfully. And when you teach her that within the confines of your own home, that is going to bring about an autonomous, very independent woman who is a leader. who's going to help shape humanity for the next generation and the next generation. And then she's going to raise her daughters to do the exact same. So you're creating a whole bloodline, a whole lineage of some pretty badass women, that create lasting change on earth. And what the fuck else are we here for if it's not raising the consciousness of humanity? Like, why else?
Right. Boundaries. You set them. If you're not good at setting boundaries, it takes practice. It takes learning how to set and enforce boundaries, right? It's a whole practice. That's why Chris and I are creating Boundaries Bootcamp. So we have when you set a boundary and you try to enforce it, right? People will break out all kinds of tools to try to break down your boundary. They will break out guilt and shame, and they will break name
A
calling, and
smear campaign in the court system, like,
they
they'll do anything and
they will sue
everything they
you.
can.
Mhm. It's
Try to go
wild.
after your VA money. They'll do all sorts of stuff.
And all it is because you're setting boundaries. Now, if you're new to setting boundaries, guess what? Just like any skill, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to
Yeah.
set boundaries too harshly, and you're going to set boundaries too softly, and you're going to set boundaries all sorts of different things. But it's important to go through that process. Start now. Start practicing. Learn about it. Read about it. Educate yourself. It's very important. Okay. So,
And one thing I wanted to say, I didn't know if you were gonna say it or not.
no,
Boundaries are not necessarily about the other person. It's about yourself. It is about how big of a boundary do you have to set so that you can love the other person unconditionally. If the boundary is complete, like for me, I set a boundary with my dad. We are no contact, no contact at all. That is so I can love him unconditionally. I cannot love that motherfucker unconditionally when he's in my life. He drives me fucking nuts, right? He doesn't treat me the way I deserve. Like, I can't love him unconditionally. But with no contact, I can love him unconditionally. He's doing what he's doing in his life. He's doing the best he can with the tools that he has. And so that's really what boundaries are for. It's like we're all humans and we're all souls. And so how much distance do you need between you and that other person so that you can love them unconditionally in all of their fucked upness, in their raw human form? And also, if somebody does not want to respect your boundaries, then you just build the boundary higher. You just build that wall higher, and it seems like you might have to go to extremes because people will encroach and they'll get crazy and they'll get family members and they'll try to come at you from all different angles because they are upset that they cannot respect a boundary. And then you just build it higher and higher and higher until the day comes that they're like, hey, here's an olive branch. What do I need to do to live in harmony again? And then at that point, you get to make the choice whether or not you want to try.
yep. If that comes,
If it comes. I don't like
um,
boundaries. I get it. I don't like them when they're set on me. When my
nobody
daughter
does.
sets boundaries on me, I'm like,
Well, people take it very personal. And it's like the boundary isn't always set because you did something wrong. The boundary is set because the person needs something, right? Like when you
right,
say, hey, I'm in the bedroom tonight, you're like, hey, I need this for me. It's not that you guys are doing anything. It's like, I need this for me.
right.
When
Like I was explaining to Avery too when I first kind of started setting boundaries in the house a couple years ago. I was like, it's not that I want to be away from you and dad. I love you guys. You guys warm my heart. You fill my soul. Like you're my family. I'm choosing to raise you. I'm choosing to marry him. So it wasn't that I wanted to be away from her, it's that I wanted to be alone. Well, I can't be with her and you and alone. I had to choose one or the other. And so it's like you just lean a little bit more like, well, 51% I want to be by myself. 49% I want to be with you guys, but 51,
Mhm,
And it's not always 51. Sometimes it's no, I 100% want to be alone and that's okay too.
and allowing somebody and like having a boundary and allowing your loved ones past it, and then having a boundary and allowing your loved ones past it, right? And this constant thing ends up this abandoning self. You end up
Yeah.
having no sense of self. And then what ends up is your gas tank's completely on empty. You're now short fused. You're now resentful. And it's all because you felt guilty about taking some time for yourself to check in with yourself, to see how you're doing emotionally, to see how am I meeting all the needs as far as my own growth as a human being? Am I fulfilling and pursuing my desires, or have I outsourced all my desires now to my family?
Yeah.
And these are very important things because the loss of identity in relationships for people who have a mother wound happens very quickly.
So
And it can
quickly.
happen inadvertently. And then by the time you notice it, it may be too late. You may have too much emotional damage. But um, but again, boundaries, very important. So we're wrapping it up here.
Yeah,
I
and I
will,
just wanted to say real quick too, like if you can't say no to your mother respectfully and politely, right? If you're a child, then you are not going to be able to say no to the guy who wants to fuck you. There was a study that said like I think it was like 75 or 80% of women, well, girls, said yes to sleeping with a teen boy that they didn't want to sleep with because they didn't want to say no because they didn't want to hurt his feelings. That started with her mom. That started with her fucking mom. Right there. If you can't say no to your mom because you're more worried about her pulling her love away, talking about you to your sister or other family members, then there's no way in hell a couple years goes by and you're a teenager that you're going to be able to say no to that man because you're going to think that he's going to do the same thing. He's going to go tell the whole school that you're a tease, and so moms really hold the power to shape their children into healthy autonomous adults that know who they are. They're not willing to abandon their authenticity just to feel connected. That
that
you
is
got from Gabor Mate.
damn right.
Yeah.
Damn right. Okay. So
333. That's Papa. I'm telling you, it's angel number after angel number after angel number after angel number.
So, some healing that you can do. Okay, let's talk healing. This is not quick fixes, but this is integration. We'll touch on these, and we can get into them in another episode if we need to. But self mothering, learning to consistently meet your own emotional needs before outsourcing them. All right, like yesterday, my daughter was trying to make a decision, and then she goes, "Well, I'm just going to ask Chat." And I said, "Hang on a second, before you go anywhere else, have you asked yourself first? Have you asked yourself first?" And it was hard. It was hard for her. She's like, "But I don't know what the right answer is." I'm like, there is no right answer. This is not school. It's not a test.
No,
This is
she
not.
knew her answer. She was wondering if her answer was like allowed, like if she
Yeah,
was
yeah.
allowed to have that answer.
Yep. So learning to meet your own emotional needs before outsourcing them, right? And checking in with yourself regularly. You may even have to schedule this time. All right. Carissa does a meditation every morning, and she's like, "Hey, I'm going in the other room to
Mhm.
meditate." And she does. The majority of mornings, stop with that eye roll.
I was
Um,
like, I try. It's always my goal.
Number two, differentiating intuition from anxiety.
Yeah.
Anxiety is loud and urgent and telling you that things are unsafe, but intuition is calm and grounded.
It's like a whisper and it's fast. It's
So, differentiating intuition from anxiety can help heal the mother wound. Number three, practice receiving. Practice receiving. Let someone show up for you without you performing, without you with proving, and without you over giving back, without you
yeah,
doing something in return that's a grander gesture than whatever they did.
thinking that something's owed.
Receiving is not a debt. It's not a debt. Number four, choosing safety over familiar chemistry, right? Healthy love is going to feel quieter at first. This doesn't mean that there's a lack of passion. Doesn't mean that the lack of passion. It means you're actually healthfully observing. Oh,
Mhm.
is this person right? And you're choosing and you're putting the correct pauses in place to just really say, is this person best for me? Is this person right for me? Are they not? And you look at it a little more logically. Whereas this chaotic, hyper passionate first date, you and he both want the same amount of children and you want the same amount of things and you want the same amount, and you guys have already talked about having kids together and you've already talked about that's not what you need to do right now. There's that's way too hot, way too soon. That's probably an unhealthy relationship.
And a nervous system that's used to conditional love will have to get calibrated to a healthier nervous system where love is no longer conditional. You
Yeah.
might think it's boring. You might, like you said, you might think it's passionless,
You said it. Passionless. Yep.
but really what the nervous system is doing is it's just adjusting.
Yeah.
And then a couple months go by and you're like very turned on by that partner, whereas maybe in the beginning not so much, but it's because you're actually recalibrating.
Yeah. And number 5, grieving the mother that you didn't get.
That's a big one, especially if she's still alive. That's a that's a big one. That's a lifelong project.
And if you haven't, I recommend researching grieving. Okay. But grieving the mother that you didn't get, because healing does require a mourning process.
Yeah.
MOUR, mourning process. You can love your mother and still grieve the parts that you didn't get. So you can definitely say, like, she did the best she could, and you can mean it, and you can love her for the effort she gave to do the best she could. And you can also have complete acceptance and be aware that it also had some holes in it,
That it wasn't enough.
and
Yeah.
that those holes affected you,
Yeah.
and that that had lasting consequences.
Yeah.
For men, it's a little bit different, but for any men listening to this about the mother wound, or maybe you're trying to understand your wife or partner or girlfriend or prospective partner that does have a mother wound, it's very, very good information. But noticing emotional shutdown, uh, many men learn who have a mother wound learn to become hyper responsible to stay connected. I know I've worked with men who have a mother wound, and they are just like, I have to provide, I have to provide, I have to provide, I have to provide, and they have to do all these things in order to perform for their partner. And it's actually not true. There's a lot less that they could do and still show up if the relationship was safe for them. Um, and number 2, you do not have to fix, provide perfectly, or be invulnerable to be loved. Um, Number 3 is learning emotional language. Hang on, I'll be right back. Learning emotional
No.
language comes off of our emotional pillow, okay, our emotional circle pillow.
It's our
Learning
feeling wheel.
emotional language, emotional literacy. Emotional literacy is not taught in schools.
Mm-mm.
Literacy is usually not taught in homes. How many parents and children are sitting down talking about emotional literacy and
Yeah.
emotional granularity in their homes? Or are they outsourcing it to counselors and therapists and things like that that people might see once a week, long after the emotional wave has hit and subsided, and then you're trying to get it later.
Yeah,
So
emotional intelligence is everything.
it's really important. Number
Mhm.
4, for men, stop the rescuer dynamics. Okay, Captain Save-A-Ho, we all know who you are, and we know that you exist in this world for a reason. And good on you for trying. But you should be choosing partners who bring to the table as well. It should be a mutually beneficial relationship if it's healthy. And number 5, rebuilding trust in intimacy. That closeness does not mean smothering, like the kitten story. So once again, if you have the mother wound, it doesn't mean you're broken, doesn't mean you're fucked up. You probably have been labeled with different mental illnesses. You probably have had your own issues with addiction. You probably have had some real issues, but
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that you're a bad person. And it
No.
doesn't.
No, it means you're a chosen one. You are a chosen one to feel the lack of love and the lack of affection so deeply early on in your childhood that because your mother is able to mirror your own lack of self-love, that then it becomes your, I don't want to say job, but like your job to learn what you don't know, to learn what your entire family, multiple families don't know, so that you can find epic, unapologetic love later in life and then express that. I truly feel like everyone with a mother wound, everyone who struggles with addiction, you're a chosen one, not a broken one. You're here to change the entire trajectory of your bloodline.
Right. And if you have a mother wound, right, that your mother wasn't able to show up for you, chances are she has a mother wound too.
Correct. Yeah.
And chances are her mom had a mother wound. And if you really, I mean, right now at the time of this podcast is 2025. Your grandmother lived during the Great Depression.
Yeah, they were worried about just surviving, just eating.
Survival.
They
So
didn't have time to love on
emotional
kids.
granularity was not important.
You know,
So this is very important. So it is, as Carissa says, breaking generational cycles is not just freaking table talk. It's not just clickbait. It's not just to hook you. It's not anything like that. It is actually something that we are doing in real time now, especially as we end the age of Pisces and enter the age of Aquarius.
mhm.
Um,
And for any mothers listening that might resonate and are able to show emotional intelligence and are like, shit, maybe I inflicted some trauma on my own kid. There is no person, there is no mother, other mother, stepmother, grandmother, man, food, substance that can fill that mother wound. A child wants its mother. Period. Period. There's a biological component that is to it. It's the first person I've ever smelled, the first person I've ever, kissed, tasted, if breastfed. And so there's so many little transmitters going on that connect us to our children. And so nothing's going to take the place of that. Nothing at all. The child's going to always want you. The child just wants you to show up for her in the capacity that she deserves and wants to be heard, wants her voice to be heard and her voice to matter, not be dismissed. So I don't believe that any of us have gone too far down the road to heal. None of us, whether you're a mother who's inflicted the trauma or a child that's carrying that pain, everyone can heal.
And that is a great caveat into this final thing. It's not about going into the past. It's not about going into the past and dredging all of it back up and reliving and reopening the same wounds. Healing happens now in the present. It happens now. And it's about the choices that you make moving forward and the books that you read and the things that you allow into your consciousness and what you ingest in social media and whether or not you're allowing the news to continue to terrorize you.
Yeah, what kind of TV shows you're falling asleep to? You're watching crime shows and stuff like that. Like your mind's going to be fucked up.
Yeah, you're watching nothing but people cheating on each other in relationships, probably
You're going to
gonna
have
have
trust
some issues
issues.
in your own.
Yeah, yeah.
So just remember, epic love is not found.
It's created.
It is created. It is built. One conscious choice at a time.
One boundary at a time.
Ooh, that's right.
Carissa and her boundaries.
No, it's good. Okay. If you have stayed with us to this point, just wanted to thank you very much. I am Jake Worthington. This is Carissa Worthington, my beautiful, lovely bride who has 3 more days in her 30s before she turns into her fantastic, fruitful 40s.
The big 4-0.
I'm telling you, it's going to be.
I
It's
know.
gonna be divine.
I'm fucking excited. It's gonna be rad as shit. I'm super excited.
Yes, it's
Yeah,
going to
it's
be.
gonna be the best decade. That and my 50s, best decade of our life.
It's going to be great. It's going to be wonderful. I can't wait to celebrate your birthday with you and everything. For those of you out there with the mother wound,
We love you.
we love you. And re-listen to this. Send us comments. Send us emails. All you want. Carissa at epiclovelegacy.com and Jake at universalmanhood.com.
All right. We love you.
Thank you.